All my life, I have heard whispers of a place where righteous gods heed mortal prayers. The Citadel of Eternity. It will take several pilgrimages to uncover the Citadel's location. The Chaos Wastes are a wilderness of tangled paths, blighted by the dark gods. Onwards to salvation.
Sounds good to me. This time. Nice to see new places.
Oh yes. What could possibly go wrong?
Really, Barton? Sounds good to you, huh? We're going to the Chaos Wastes, not exactly a beach vacation, and yeah, maybe we won't be killing demons, but the new expansion for Vermintide 2 is dropping on April 20th for the sum total of $0. That's right, it's free. Free. Everyone who owns this game is getting it, what's being called a remaster that will also decrease how much space it utilizes on your hard drive. Don't know yet if that will have any implications whatsoever on optimization, but I certainly hope so. So yeah, if you're one of those people without a lot of storage, and for some weird reason you don't like having games take up 100 gigabytes on your floppy disk, well, then this should hopefully fix that issue. The first thing I want to address before we get into the actual content on offer is the price, because there was the element to this reveal that immediately jumped out at me. With Chaos Wastes, it appears to be taking the skeleton of Winds of Magic, attempting to address every part of it that we didn't enjoy, while giving access to everyone to reinvigorate the player base and hopefully get people hooked again. In terms of player retention, as long as the content's fun and offers plenty of replayability, that's frankly a really good idea. It means we don't have to worry about a split player base like we did with Cataclysm or the still in limbo versus mode. With that said, I was hoping there would be a paid element to this update because I want Fat Shark to feel motivated to continue supporting this game well into the future. And it looks like there is because the Forgotten Relics DLC will be launching alongside for $6 US. We are finally getting the long-awaited Trollhammer Torpedo for Bard and the Dwarf, an Iron Drake grenade launcher that embeds in enemy armor and sunders it from the inside out to explode hordes, bosses, and Chaos Warriors, getting the Spear and Shield for Kruber, who can strike while blocking, a Moonfire bow for Carillion, which uses magical arrows that cost energy to fire, so it'll rely more on like an overheat mechanic that slowly replenishes over time rather than having actual ammo. So it's kind of what we'd expect to see if we had a Sister of Avalorn character, which hell, might be the next Carillion class, we don't know yet. The Griffinfoot pistol for Saltspire, which is essentially a sawed-off shotgun pistol or blunderbuss useful for evaporating hordes of unarmored enemies, and the Corsation staff for Sienna, that fires volleys of flaming rocks or summons flame geysers from the very earth. In the weeks following the release of Chaos Wastes, they'll also be rolling out new premium cosmetic items, purchasable from Loner's Emporium of Wonders, including whole new hero skins and hats. I don't think new skins have been added for, well, there have been some color palette swaps, but actual new skins have not really been much of a thing at all. We've just gotten some new hats, so that in and of itself is a little bit exciting. What I'm not sure about is if there will be some form of cosmetics and challenges that come with all the bells and whistles that will be similar to what we saw from the new class DLCs as a separate purchase. So everybody who owns Vermintide 2 gets that core Chaos Waste experience, but all the visual upgrades and special hats will be a side purchase, similar to what we saw from the Grail Knight or Master Engineer. And I'll be honest, I never had an issue with that approach. You get all the fun gameplay for a super cheap price, and then you pay extra if you want to support the devs and look super fancy. Well, actually, I guess the one issue I did have with that was that some of the cosmetics you pay for are still very grindy, which has been kind of an element of Vermintide 2 I've never really enjoyed. Like, I have 600 hours on this game, and I still don't have a single class to 100 legend completions yet, because I play every class and character in the game, so it's pretty unrealistic to expect a normal player who drops money for the extra cosmetics to unlock the top tier Grail Knight helmet by completing 100 legend missions. It's just not going to happen for a regular player. That particular issue notwithstanding, this free update approach will hopefully do wonders for the player base to reinvigorate that, and it's certainly not something I was expecting to see, a free price point. I will say, if I had the choice between a free update and no Demons of Chaos, or a full $20 or $30 expansion with as much new content, maps, enemies, weapons, and cosmetics packed in there as physically possible, I would pick the paid release 10 out of 10 times. I think you will generally get more out of a paid release because there's been a bigger financial incentive for them to deliver. But I can see why Fat Shark took this approach, and I can't really fault them for it, although I can and will continue to dislike the idea of an expansion set in the realms of Khorne, Slaanesh, and Tzeentch, where we only fight Skaven and Nurgly Norskins. It just doesn't feel right. That part of this picture will continue to be a genuine what the F moment for me, free content or not. With that said, we now finally have a ton of information about the Chaos Waste expansion, what's coming on April 20th, and what we should expect moving forward, and a lot of it's pretty exciting in my opinion. The core gameplay of Chaos Waste will be a rogue-lite experience. For those of you who don't know what rogue-lite or rogue-like are, essentially these are randomized missions puzzled together from set pieces where items and enemy locations and even the maps themselves differ every time you play. Sometimes these rogue-like experiences are characterized by permadeath, so if it's a set of, say, 5 missions and you die during the 3rd, you get sent back to the beginning. But we don't know exactly how that will work here. We've gotten a few details, but not the full picture. All we know is the further we progress, the greater the reward, but failure before the expedition's end may rob you of the fruits of your labor. That's a quote straight from the devs themselves. As you become stronger and earn loot through progression, the game will continue to get harder in these roguelite experiences, with enemies having more HP, more damage, and different modifiers to change how you tackle combat. So think of this kind of like a Deep Rock Galactic Deep Dive, which has been really well received from the community over there at Ghost Ship Games. It's a set of missions with progression tying each together, where your health and items and abilities carry over to the next run until you've completed the entire bunch, rather than a self-contained single mission like Smuggler's Run or Horn of Magnus from Vermintide 1 or 2. On top of that, we're also getting 15 new locations, which does not mean new maps. It means 15 new areas that have new assets we've never seen before that will combine in different orders each time you play to hopefully keep things fresh and interesting. But it does not mean 15 full adventure maps like Blood in the Darkness or Dark Omens. Our mission is to locate the Citadel of Eternity and receive the blessings of the good gods of the Warhammer world, gods like Valea, Sigmar, Lilith, Tal, and Myrmidia. On the flip side, of course, are the ruinous powers. Khorne the Blood God, Lord of Battles, Tzeentch the Changer of Ways, Nurgle the Allfather of Disease and Decay, and Slaanesh, the Dark Prince of Pleasure and Pain. Their realms will be present in the Chaos Wastes and will form the foundation of the playing spaces themselves. Along your journey, you'll encounter these accursed areas, blessed by each of the Dark Gods, where the landscape kinda shifts to better reflect whichever god owns it, and enhances that gameplay experience with modifiers that will dramatically change the way you need to play, in a similar vein to the Winds of Magic DLC. I don't believe we know what these modifiers will be yet, but you can rest assured they will be thematic, even if the enemies we encounter won't be. You know, because we're fighting Ratmen and Rotbloods in Khorne, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh territory. Makes sense, I guess. No, it doesn't. Anyway, we're searching for the Citadel of Eternity, an ancient ruin nestled deep in the north, where mortals can seek favor of the gods, perhaps to wield some kind of MacGuffin that will deliver us from the end times and save the world from eternal damnation. Entrance to this Citadel of Eternity is granted only to those who complete 3 grueling expeditions, an echo of those who have come before, and only when these initial challenges are overcome will the path to the Citadel finally be revealed. If you fail any of these expeditions, you will have to return to Tal's Horn Keep and begin all over again. That could be frustrating. That could be fun. I think if you're a veteran, a long-time player, that could definitely keep you coming back. It could also drive maybe some new players away just off that line alone, but we'll see how it's implemented. I'm not sure how long these missions will be, so I think that will go a long way in determining how well this is received. If you have to play 5 hours and could get sent all the way back to the beginning when you die at the very end of it, yeah, that could be intensely frustrating. I imagine that's not how it's going to be implemented, though. Along these new journeys, there will be a bunch of new gameplay elements making their debut in Vermintide 2. Shrines will grant players a rest where they can kit themselves out with specific buffs from the Gods of Order. Arenas of the Worthy will form an end mission threat where you get swarmed with enemies necessary to complete if you want to unlock the Citadel of Eternity. And Waystone altars are places of worship where you can equip your character mid-mission with new weapons and powerful buffs. If you happen to stumble across a chest of trials, a monstrous boss will appear, Minotaur, Rat Ogre, Storm Fiend, that kind of thing, and if you defeat it, you'll get some juicy loot. But it's clear that most of the emphasis here is being placed on interactions with the Warhammer Pantheon of Gods, and shrines will be the vehicle through which these will take place. There are a bunch of different shrines. Shrines of Strife focus on aggression and violence, bestowing gifts that increase damage, attack speed, and killing potential, that kind of thing. Shrines of Harmony are defensive and healing in nature, while Shrines of Fortune grant material possessions with a twist of mischief and misdirection on occasion. At each of these shrines are a selection of miracles and boons, which are essentially blessings from each god. Miracles will buff the whole party, while boons are player-specific. For example, the Jade Censer of Raya, Goddess of Life, will heal the party, while Morgrim, Ancestor God of Engineering, grants each player a magical bomb that is significantly more powerful than the gunpowder contraptions already in the game. Potions are also getting a revamp here as well. We won't be getting just the standard strength, speed, and concoction pots. We're getting a bunch of new ones that have interesting effects. The Potion of Poison Aegis for the Elven Pleasure Goddess Authority grants immunity to poison, which will likely be a modifier in the realms of Slanesh and Nurgle. Loic the Trickster's Potion of Agility will increase attack and movement speed. Kane's Potion of Lifesteal restores health for every kill, just like Bloodlust from Vermintide 1. The Great Maw's Potion of Lifeshare will group heal for every kill. Potion of Stealth makes the character invisible. Endless Bombs is, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Wrath increases damage, and Prophetic Strike appears to grant some kind of instant kill with a single blow that may even work on bosses, which sounds pretty awesome. So there's a lot of content here, and it's free, which should boost the player base substantially, but it still remains to be seen what lessons, if any, were learned from the debacle that was Winds of Magic. Will any of the progression we make in the Chaos Waste carry over to the main game? Will any of the improvements made there also carry over to the main game? Will the queue system be implemented in a more logical manner than Weaves were, where it's easier to find games and doesn't instantly divide the player base like Weaves did? Will it be a brutal RNG grind to unlock the things we want, or will there be targeted ways to achieve the loot that will help benefit the core adventure experience? I don't know. I guess we'll find out very soon. It does seem quite similar to Winds of Magic in a lot of ways, which should maybe give players pause, but at the same time, Fat Shark are very clearly aware of the issues that plagued Winds of Magic, and they were not happy with its reception or performance, so I would imagine some lessons have been learned here. So even though we should be cautious overall, I am optimistic they will avoid at least some of the pitfalls from previous DLC. In terms of the trailer itself, the environments are looking gorgeous. Floating skulls plucked straight from Age of Sigmar, that'll be in Khorne's realm, angry trees, shiny blue orbs, the Garden of Nurgle, and all the corruption and confusion one would expect when venturing into the far north. It all seems to be present here. It's very colorful, it's very atmospheric, and it looks like there will be some fun new playing spaces to explore and enjoy. And I cannot wait to see the new weapons in action. Some of them sound very cool. The Trollhammer Torpedo and the Moonfire bow in particular will completely alter how Barden and Carillion approach combat. I think those are really nice additions, and frankly, they're proof positive that Fat Shark does listen to the community, because those have been some of the most heavily requested weapons over the last few years, and we can finally see them in action. I will be showing off all the gameplay, cosmetics, and weapons I can at the earliest available opportunity, It's going to be a big part of my content plans for April and early May. So if you haven't already done so, feel free to hit that subscribe button and join me as we plunge into the Chaos Waste sometime in the next several weeks. Let me know what you all think of the reveal, and I will see you all in the next video.